How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. Well, I'm still a very tiny channel with um, only about half a thousand subscribers. That just sounds bigger than 500, which it's actually a little over that, more like around the 550 range as I'm recording this. Um, so still a very tiny channel, but very quickly grew over the last week or so when I had, you know, 70 maybe. But yeah, if there's any doubt about the reason that somebody like me should be making this type of content, check out the comments. Just check out the comments on some of these videos. Because the bigotry is strong. The bigotry is strong. In fact, one person suggested that it's not okay to call people bigots. You know, that we have to be bigoted because we can't be afraid to be called bigots. I mean, that's the suggestion of the comment. Another person used a homophobic slur. I mean, spelled it differently. I don't delete comments except for two individuals. Two individuals had their comments deleted. One of them was promoting violence, and I don't remember just exactly what the other one was saying, but it was definitely hateful. You know, that one person, that had to go, and one promoting violence had to go. I mean, I've got, somebody called me a clown. All right, fine, whatever. You can think I'm a clown. You still watched my video, though, and you still commented on it, so you still boosted the algorithm, and I'm all right with that. Other people are basically saying, well, that they go on their rants, about where I'm wrong and how they hate me and all that. All right, fine, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to make the content that I'm going to make. I think the funniest one, though, is the one that called me a Soros puppet. A Soros puppet. If I was a Soros puppet, don't you think I would have a large channel? Don't you think I would be able to afford an actual studio instead of recording in my sunroom or outside on my deck? Yeah, if I was a Soros puppet, wouldn't I have hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of subscribers? That's actually kind of funny. I mean, if that Soros money was rolling in, yeah, I would still live in this house because I like this house. But I would have had a studio built. If that Soros money was rolling in, I would have a much larger channel because I would be able to promote my content more. And it's funny. And what gets me about these comments about being a Soros puppet or being a puppet of this or that or the other is really what they're saying is, you don't believe what you believe because it's not the same as what I believe, and you can only believe what I believe because that's the only belief worth believing. Or something like that, right? Well, what's funny is, I mean, I've been called radical left, which I'm not. I'm more of a centrist. Of course, to the radical right, anybody even slightly to the left of Benito Mussolini is radical left. So, whatever. That if you don't support them on 100% of everything, you're radical left, right? And fine, whatever. So I'm radical left. No, I'm not. I'm a centrist who would support someone like Gavin Newsom over someone like Bernie Sanders for president, for example. And honestly, it's not only because Bernie is way too old. It's because he is too far left for my liking. Now, I'm not saying that Gavin Newsom is my choice, that he would be my first choice. I would rather have somebody else. Who that is, I don't know yet. But we'll see who it is. We'll see who it is. Maybe a Pete Buttigieg, maybe a Jasmine Crockett or an AOC. Who knows? Who knows? I'll have to wait and see who all throws their hat in the ring, and make a determination from there. And that's still in the future, far enough in the future that I'm not going to worry about it. But if anybody who wants to accuse someone like me of being a Soros puppet, first of all, I create my own content. What I say are my thoughts and my thoughts alone. Sometimes I have notes, but usually not. Sometimes I don't even have any idea what I'm going to say until I start recording. And that probably shows. Usually I have an idea. I have an idea in my head. I just don't script it out. There's no teleprompter. I mean, I'm looking right at my laptop screen right now, right? So, I'm just a guy with a laptop and a camera. So, whatever. Call me a Soros puppet all you want. You still engaged with my content, still boosted the algorithm, so thank you for that. And, this whole idea that somehow, if we don't agree with you, we're not thinking for ourselves. And yet, you're not thinking for yourself unless you agree with everything that you agree with. And you agree 100% with someone else. My favorite general in American history, right, of course is going to be an Army general because, well, I'm an Army veteran. So my favorite general in American history is George Patton. Now, you can make an argument that he wasn't such a good guy. Fine, whatever. He's still my favorite general. And he said one time, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, that if everyone thinks alike, someone is not thinking. So if I don't agree with you, and I also don't agree with all these other people that, people that are farther left than I am, how is it that I'm somebody's puppet? Whatever. I don't care what you think, right? I mean, I do, because I want you to watch my videos and I want you to comment. Which, by the way, I do read all my comments. comments. They say that you shouldn't read all your comments. I read my comments. I don't respond to all of them, but I do respond to some. And the reason I don't respond to all of them is that sometimes they're just comments that don't require a response. Sometimes they are just unintelligible collections of letters. And sometimes it's just not worth my time to respond to some people. Right? So, I mean, and sometimes maybe I've responded already to a similar comment. So just because I haven't responded to you, even though I did respond to somebody else, that doesn't mean that necessarily there's something wrong with your comment or I don't care enough about your comment. It could just be that, I've already responded to this or something very similar. Or it could just be that, all right, I'm going to acknowledge your comment with a little like on it and move on because there's nothing I can add to it. Or there's nothing to clear up. Because I've had to clear up my position on some of the comments. George Soros, though, being a Soros puppet. Now, if I was a Soros puppet, now don't you think I would come out in favor of, for example, an assault weapons ban, which, by the way, I don't support. I do support stricter gun laws in general, age restrictions and more background checks, more thorough background checks, closing the gun show loophole, age restrictions, like increasing the age restrictions, and have it be the same age for all firearms, not just, well, all right, you can be 18 to have this one, but you have to be 21 to have that one. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, make some things can be uniform across the board. And I know we have a federalist system, and that's a good thing. Which means that our states are going to have different laws, and that's all right. For example, Colorado is the most well known for the legalization of marijuana because they were the first ones to do it. But my state of Iowa has not legalized it for recreational use. Okay, that's fine. Now, for me personally, I think it should be legalized, but it doesn't really matter that much to me personally because I don't partake and I don't want to be around it. Okay? If you do, that's your business. You're not hurting me as long as you're respecting my desire to not be near it. So, you do you. I've got a bit of a libertarian streak. I think most Americans do. That's not to say that I'm full-on libertarian, because that's just really not realistic. It's not realistic. We need, laws to govern certain things that libertarians don't want us to have laws to govern. Right? Plus, funny thing about libertarians is a lot of times they have a purity test. Yeah. You're not really a libertarian unless, X, unless you support this or you don't support that. That's okay. It's a little bit weird, but okay. Uh, but yeah, of course, libertarianism is also misunderstood as somewhere between uh, as being kind of, you take the best parts of the Republicans and the best parts of Democrats and throw them together, and you get libertarians, and that's not really the case at all. Or some people would say the worst of each, but it's not the case at all. And I got sidetracked, which I'm going to do sometimes. But yeah, a Soros puppet. Huh? That's funny. That is funny to me because I don't support some of the more left-wing positions like banning certain firearms and like some of the tax policies of the left. I don't agree with. I do agree that we do need to tax the billionaires more, but I also agree that taxes on everyone, including the billionaires, should be as low as absolutely necessary, right? Should not be higher than necessary to fund what we need to fund within our government. Okay, so if, taxing billionaires at 25%, and I'm just throwing numbers out here, just kind of spitballing numbers here. I'm not advocating for any particular numbers, but say if we tax, billionaires at 25%, tax a guy like me maybe 10, and maybe somebody who is not I'm not really what I would call, I'm doing okay, but I'm not wealthy by any means. But some working class neighborhood, some guy who's just scraping to get by, some family barely scraping to get by. Maybe they're getting, assistance or whatnot. Maybe don't tax them at all. So tax them not at all. Tax me at maybe 10%, the billionaires at 25%, just as an example. Whatever the smallest number necessary is to fund what we need to fund. So there's all kinds of evidence, really, that I'm not a puppet for anyone. I have my own opinions, I have my own thoughts, I create my own content, and yes, I do have some influences, and I have, as far as what to cover, but not what to think about it. But yeah, I think it's laughable that I am considered to be some kind of a puppet for George Soros when, if he wants to send me money, I'm okay with that. But he doesn't, and I think some of the evidence of that is, first of all, I don't toe any specific party line. I might agree more with the left than I do with the right, but I don't toe any particular party line. Which, by the way, I haven't always agreed more with the left than I have with the right. It used to be reversed. But yeah, not towing any party line and having a sunroom and my deck as my recording studios on a laptop with a camera mounted on top of it. That's that's my studio, right? I mean, my animals may come and go. You might, I mean, my wife isn't home right now, but if she was, you know, you might hear her in the background. I mean, usually not, because I record when she's not, like, right there, but it's not impossible. You know, you get that background noise. But anyway, just wanted to let you all know that I do read your comments. Whether I agree with you or not, I appreciate your comments. And I really do mean that. Even if you disagree with me, I do appreciate the comments. Unless you're just flat out bigoted, like that one that used the homophobic slur, or if you're advocating violence, like the one that got deleted. If it's just a simple difference of opinion, great. You know what? Let's have that discussion. If you're a bigot, well, thanks for commenting and boosting the algorithm, but take your bigotry elsewhere, because it's not welcome here. Your comments are welcome, your bigotry is not. You know, I'm going to continue reading the comments, and I will respond to some. I will not respond to others. And just want to thank y'all for watching, subscribing, and I'll see you next time.